My online boyfriend turned out to be my boss, the same CEO who scolds me every day. He even helped me revise my proposal. The next morning, I handed the polished version to my boss myself. He stared at it for a long time before asking, "You wrote this?" As a freshly graduated corporate drone, I had pushed myself to the limit just to come up with a proposal I was somewhat satisfied with. But during the meeting the next day, my proposal was held in the boss's hand like a piece of garbage. "This trash actually made it into the final draft," he sneered. "Who wrote this?" My boss was an overseas-educated, high-society heir with a genius IQ and the face of a 3D model. My friends all said I was lucky, getting paid just to look at a handsome man every day. But only I knew how harsh and demanding he really was. I hesitated before slowly raising my hand. In the next second, his sharp eyes locked on me. "You got hired with this kind of performance? I guess our HR department is really something." Surrounded by colleagues, my face burned with shame. I wished I could crawl into a crack in the floor and disappear. Unsurprisingly, I was told to stay behind after the meeting. I stood there as he sat, brows tightly furrowed. He tossed my proposal to the floor. "This is your last chance. Produce garbage like this again, and go explain yourself to HR." With a pounding heart, I bent down to pick up the proposal, not daring to look at him. My eyes stung with pressure, but I forced myself to lower my head and leave the office in silence. Once I reached a quiet corner, I finally broke down in tears. Through the blur, I opened WeChat and messaged my online boyfriend. "I got yelled at again today by my boss. When I was offered a guaranteed place in grad school, my mom fell seriously ill. All our money was drained, so I gave up grad school and went straight to work. Even then, the money wasn't enough. On a friend's advice, I started faceless live streaming, occasionally posting handmade crafts and vlogs. To my surprise, people actually tipped me, and my online boyfriend topped the charts by tipping me millions. Medial. For a freshly graduated girl from an average family background, that number was astronomical. To thank him, I added him as a friend. Unlike my tyrant boss, my top donor boyfriend was kind and gentle. Whenever I felt down, he'd comfort me right away. Little by little, we fell for each other. He was sweet, always quick to respond. "Hugs for my baby. Your boss clearly has no taste, how dare he yell at my precious baby. I believe everything you do is perfect. Especially with how talented you are at crafting. So clever and skillful." The more he comforted me, the more wronged I felt. I had spent so much time on that proposal, hadn't even slept last night, yet still got torn apart. He spammed me with those kissy face stickers I'd once sent him. "It's okay, baby. You just graduated. Let it out, crying is good. Take things slow. Don't be sad, I'll help you revise the proposal tonight. You just rest." Seeing how warm and thoughtful he was, my heart softened again. I wiped my swollen eyes. What good would crying do anyway? Still shaken by the scolding, I had trembled under my boss's cold, irritated gaze. "If you can't seize your opportunities, if you keep taking things slow, you'll end up in the trash just like your proposal." As he spoke, he threw the paper into the bin with chilling precision. He stared at my reddened eyes with his usual indifference. "So instead of crying, how about getting back to work?" When he finally left, I nearly collapsed again. How could a 37 degrees Celsius human say something that cold? But this company really was one of the best. I had worked so hard just to get this job. And with my mom's condition, I couldn't afford to lose it. Dragging my exhausted body back to my desk, I sat down beside my least favorite coworker, who was, as usual, making snide remarks. "I'm just saying, how did someone like that even get hired?" she sneered. "Though I guess she has one redeeming quality, her face. Probably slept her way in, huh?" I didn't even have the energy to argue back. I just sat there, sullen and defeated. Even though my online boyfriend had offered to revise my proposal, I decided to redo it myself. Maybe that would ease his burden. He was an adult too, after all. He must have his own things to deal with. I revised the document until the end of the workday, and kept thinking about it all the way home. That night, I finished what was left and sent him the new version. Like he was online 24/7, he accepted the file instantly. Half an hour later, he sent me an encouraging message. "Is this your first draft, baby? It's a little raw, but honestly amazing for your first try. Now be good and go to sleep. Let me do the rest." I stared at the screen, dry-eyed and numb. I had already rewritten this for the nth time. Was it still that bad? He didn't respond for a minute, then sent a bunch of hugging emojis. "It's not bad at all. You've made big improvements. Just keep trying, baby. Forget whatever your boss said. He clearly doesn't get it, just some awful guy venting his mood swings." Seeing him trash my boss on my behalf gave me a strange sense of comfort again. "Thank you, my sweet boyfriend, I guess I'll sleep well tonight." And I really did. Ever since I started working, that was the best night's sleep I'd had. My online boyfriend was so dependable. The next morning, the moment I opened my eyes, I saw a new document on my phone. Good luck, wifey. It was sent at 2 a.m. I was so moved I almost cried again. My boss made me work overtime, and my boyfriend stayed up all night too. I immediately sent him several kissy face emojis to thank him. Then I got dressed and rushed to work. As soon as I stepped into the office, I heard that obnoxious coworker's voice booming again. Well, Audrey's here. Look at that face and skin, no way she stayed up late. Probably spent the night with someone, She rolled her eyes at me and grinned with glee. But the boss, now he looks like he didn't sleep. Exhausted. Bet he stayed up fuming over someone's proposal. I ignored her and headed straight for the printer to grab my newly revised proposal. But she got even more fired up when I didn't take the bait. Off to produce more garbage, Audrey. I didn't spare her a glance. I simply organized the pages and walked straight toward the boss's office. Oh, look at her. Acting all high and mighty. Careful or you'll end up crying again. The boss did look tired. His dark circles were visible under his eyes. He rubbed his temples, and when he saw me enter, his face didn't change at all. He was always cold and distant. Rumors said he didn't like women, only liked work. A machine in a man's body. I carefully handed over my proposal. He accepted it wordlessly and started flipping through the pages. Then, for some reason, he kept glancing up at me with an odd expression. His gaze fell on me again and again as he read. And then, he actually finished it. Page by page. Is this yours? He asked, his voice trembling slightly. Was he so furious that he couldn't even speak properly? I nodded stiffly, cheeks burning, bracing myself for his next insult. Do you make ceramics? Huh? Give me another chance. I'll make sure next time. We spoke at the same time, then fell silent. The boss still wore his usual stern expression, eyes examining me like a specimen. I didn't dare say another word. He gave a slight nod, rubbed his temples again, stared at me a bit longer, then finally waved me out. I left the office with a head full of confusion. Wait, was he satisfied with it or not? I sat back down at my desk, still lost in thought. Seeing how downcast I looked, the annoying coworker was absolutely delighted. Her voice rang out like a megaphone. Oh wow. Isn't that Audrey, who just looked so smug a minute ago? What happened? Got scolded again. Other coworkers glanced over but, used to the drama, quickly went back to their own work. My frustration with both this company and that damn coworker reached its peak. I honestly wanted to slap them both right then and there. Before I could explode, though, the boss's assistant, Mr. Lee, walked over. Mr. Lee. You're working so hard. The coworker instantly dropped her claws and put on a sweet smile. Mr. Lee didn't even glance at her. He simply delivered the boss's message. Audrey, since the other assistant is on medical leave, you're being temporarily assigned as the boss's personal assistant. You'll accompany him on a business trip this weekend. My face, already lacking a smile, grew even more bitter. These capitalists really don't let us cattle have a day off, do they? Why bring me along? Am I the designated punching bag now? I hadn't said anything yet when the annoying coworker suddenly looked at me in shock. Why her? Mr. Lee, you know she's not even that competent, and she's always pissing off the boss. She looked disgusted, like I'd just stepped in dog crap. Well then. Since she was so upset, I turned on my professional fake smile. Got it, Mr. Lee. I'll be sure to take good care of the boss. Her jaw clenched so tight I thought her teeth might shatter, but all she could do was watch Mr. Lee walk away. As soon as he was gone, she pointed a finger right at my face and yelled. You're just a fresh grad the boss called garbage. Who knows what tricks you pulled to get promoted? Her finger nearly poked my cheek when I grabbed her wrist and flung her hand aside. Beauty is a weapon too. You? Washed up, petty, and full of jealousy. No wonder everything looks dark from your eyes. I added with a smile, by the way, the boss just complimented me in his office. Said I did a great job. Never met a talent like me before. Once you walk out of his office, your status is yours to define. Her face twisted in fury but she said nothing, just gave a tight, creepy smile. I sensed something was wrong, and when I turned, the boss was already standing behind me. Very close. I instinctively took a step back, too nervous to look up. Crap. I'm about to get slapped with reality. That annoying coworker is going to mock me even harder now. Boss, look at this new hire. So full of herself, always talking big, she said, loud enough for the whole office to hear. People began turning their heads. Some even raised their phones to film. I clenched the hem of my shirt in panic. This is it. I'm about to be humiliated in front of everyone. She's right, the boss said. I'm very satisfied with her proposal this time. The room went dead silent. Not a single sound remained. I stared wide-eyed at the boss, whose lips were pressed into a thin line. He looked furious, and the air felt heavier by the second. As for you, I don't even want to waste my words. 10 years in the industry and still useless. Frankly, I can't even remember your name. His voice dropped to a dangerous calm. But you can get the hell out of my company. I couldn't even process what happened next. The shocked coworker lunged at me, but before she could reach me, the boss pulled me into his arms. He was strong. Solid. My face smacked right into his chest, it hurt a little. Around us, the other coworkers paled and hurriedly returned to their work under the boss's icy glare. No one dared make a sound. Security dragged her out. As soon as she was gone, I quickly stepped away from the boss and bowed sincerely. But before I could even finish, he grabbed my arm to stop me. His brows were furrowed, lips pressed tight. Normally, this would be the moment he snapped at me again, but he said nothing. Instead, he let go and walked back into his office in silence. Could it really be that my boyfriend revised the proposal so well that the boss was impressed? I glanced around to make sure no one was watching, then quickly opened WeChat and messaged my online boyfriend. Thank you, hubby. I got praise today. You're the best, as always. Oh, and that awful coworker got fired, haha. As usual, he replied in a flash. My baby is amazing. You worked so hard. Then he asked, by the way, what do you think of your boss? Huh? Why ask that all of a sudden? Didn't we just spend yesterday happily cursing him together? I typed. He's the worst. If he hadn't yelled at me, that witch of a coworker wouldn't have dared to go after me. And can you believe it? He took away my weekend and made me go on a business trip with him. I swear he's mentally unstable. I didn't even realize I'd just sent a screen full of complaints about my boss. Oddly enough, my boyfriend didn't chime in this time. Instead, he said, maybe your boss is doing it for your own good. Having a boyfriend like that in the future might not be so bad. Look at the words you just sent. You should delete them, they're a little too harsh. Wait, what? Baby, maybe he has a bad temper, but he's handsome. And maybe he has a good heart too. He's just someone with a nice face and a trash filter for a personality. Why was he defending my boss? Still, he was my gentle, sweet boyfriend. Of course not, he quickly added. I'm fully on your side. Your boss is a capitalist scumbag. Just as I finished laughing at his rant, a colleague who had just come out of the boss's office walked by, holding a few documents. You guys won't believe it, she whispered dramatically. When I walked in, the boss was smiling at his phone. I thought I was hallucinating. Seriously? Does that mean he has a girlfriend? A group of coworkers instantly swarmed around to gossip. I, on the other hand, wasn't particularly interested. Whoever this poor woman was, dating a moody, unpredictable monster like him, yikes. That weekend, I got up bright and early at 9 a.m., packed a few outfits and headed to the airport. For once, everything went smoothly. Green lights all the way. I even arrived half an hour early. But the boss was already there. Wearing a black trench coat. Which, disturbingly, matched mine. Even our shoes were the same color. It was my first time on a business trip. Every piece of clothing I wore had been suggested by my online boyfriend. So why did the boss look like he copied me? Does he also have a girlfriend? Good morning, boss, I greeted politely. Just thinking about how this trip might benefit the company gave me a burst of energy. Since I arrived later than him, I felt the need to make up for it with some professional grace. He was seated, eyelids half lowered. He glanced at me and pointed to the seat beside him. I hesitated. He meant, sit next to him? There weren't many people around, but still, it felt wrong. It's been cleaned. You can sit, he said calmly. I glanced around. Every other seat was taken. His was a double seat. I had no choice but to sit beside him under the heat of his gaze. Is arriving here by 9 acceptable to you? Do you like it? He asked, turning his head toward me. We were sitting so close I could hear his breathing. It tickled my ear. Of course. It could be even earlier, I said, forcing a brave smile. Just then, I caught a fleeting smile on his lips, only there for a second. Yep. Capitalists love watching employees suffer through early mornings. As he scrolled through files on his phone, I couldn't help messaging my boyfriend. This boss told me to be here at 9. I came 30 minutes early. He was already here. Then asked if I liked the time. Who likes working overtime? Is he secretly a sadist? My boyfriend didn't reply right away. Maybe he was busy. I closed my eyes out of boredom, but soon heard the boss cough. I immediately handed him the bottle of water I'd bought earlier. He looked like he wanted to say something, but still took the water and drank a few sips. He actually drank it? I thought he was too good for cheap $2 bottled water. As he drank, I realized I was thirsty too. I reached for the remaining bottle. And froze. Wait. Did I just hand him the one I already drank from? Oh no. This man was a germaphobe. If he found out, I'd be dead. I snuck a few guilty glances at him. He didn't seem to notice. He was even replying to messages. To look casual, I started playing on my phone too. A few minutes later, my boyfriend finally replied. Maybe he came early to make a good impression on you. What? That was a weird thing to say. Lately, his logic had become oddly twisted. I started typing back. Unlikely. He just wanted to stress me out. And today is cursed, I'm even dressed exactly like him. Just as I hit send, the boss suddenly stood up. Audrey, he said, it's time. I nodded quickly and stood, not daring to waste a second. If there's anything you're unhappy with, just tell me. I'm willing to change, I said quietly. His voice was low, magnetic, and incredibly smooth, he even sounded like a top-tier male lead. But his words sounded strangely intimate. Maybe it was just a polite reply. Understood. Thank you, boss. I still had no idea what we were doing on this trip, until we stopped in front of a movie theater. I stared at him, confused, as he walked up to the counter and bought 2 tickets, for a romantic movie. What was going on? Hi, lovebirds. We have a couple's promotion today. Half off popcorn. Would you like some? The cashier chirped. I was about to explain when I saw the boss's lips curl into a wide grin. He looked thrilled. Is the company going bankrupt or something? Why is he so excited about discounted popcorn? He got the half-price popcorn and led me inside. Boss, do you like getting discounts? I asked without thinking. He froze mid-step, then bent down slightly to look me in the eyes. His irises were dark, yet glimmered sharply. He spoke slowly, each word deliberate. It depends on the person. If it's you, I'm more than happy. Before I could react, he stuffed a piece of popcorn into my mouth. Sweet. For the entire 120-minute film, I sat ramrod straight. In the darkness, his breath occasionally brushed the back of my ear like static electricity. It made my fingertips tingle. It felt like he was flirting with me. Or was it just my imagination? Had the boss somehow unlocked me? Was he trying to eat me? The second the credits rolled and the lights came on, I practically bolted upright. Boss, I'm going to the restroom. He said hoarsely. I'll wait for you by the exit. I've always been slow when it comes to relationships, but even someone like me could tell something was off. While in the restroom, I quickly messaged my online boyfriend, Hubby, I think someone's watching me. Help. What should I do? He'd always been sweet, attentive, and devoted. I had no intention of breaking up with him. But a minute passed, and he didn't reply. Lately, it was taking longer and longer for him to respond. Even during the entire 120-minute movie earlier, he hadn't sent me a single message. Has he stopped loving me like he used to? I sighed and washed my hands. But as I walked out, I suddenly saw the boss standing just outside the restroom, panting. Boss? Did you urgently need the restroom too? I'd never seen him look this flustered. Out of habit, I stepped aside to make way. But before I could move further, he grabbed my arm and pulled me back. Are you okay? He gripped me tightly. I was a bit confused. Did he think I was so clueless that even using the restroom might get me into trouble? I shook my head. Just a project that needed my attention. You've had a long day. Here. Before I could react, he stuffed a key into my hand. Go rest at my place. Wait. Why did this feel like one of those creepy hotel card from the boss moments? But he looked too proper, too serious, for me to even entertain that thought. There's no one home. It's clean, he added. I nodded. At least I wouldn't have to follow him around for more work. A nap at a quiet villa didn't sound too bad. After giving his instructions, he left in a cab. Wow. That urgent? He couldn't even wait for his luxury car? A few minutes later, Mr. Lee arrived, driving the boss's car. No wonder rich people's rides were different. Even just sitting in it felt like luxury. Mr. Lee, I asked, does the boss have a girlfriend? Because if he did, then he definitely wasn't interested in me. Mr. Lee adjusted his glasses with his usual meticulous air, but his tone toward me remained polite. The boss is currently in a relationship. So, it's real? Someone actually agreed to date that man? The sharp-tongued iceberg? I got out of the car, but Mr. Lee didn't follow. He must have noticed my confusion. The boss is a bit of a germaphobe, he explained. He doesn't like people entering his home casually. I nodded. Probably something about work being too urgent today, and letting me stay over was the only option, to keep me out of trouble. The villa was mostly black-toned, just like him. Cold and reserved. Hard to imagine someone like him being in love. But since it was someone else's home, I didn't dare touch anything. After hanging up the key, I sat stiffly on the couch. It felt like being imprisoned. There was nothing I could do in the boss's house. Bored, I opened my chat with my online boyfriend. He finally replied, over 10 minutes after I'd sent my SOS. Are you okay? Just one bland sentence. Something about it felt off. Off enough to make me pause. While I was still wondering how to respond, the doorbell rang. Wasn't the boss supposed to be dealing with urgent matters? He came back already? I hadn't even warmed the sofa yet. Was he playing me? Fine. I'll settle this when I get back. I quickly fixed my hair and put on my best polite smile before answering the door. Only to find not my cold-faced boss, but a man with an outrageous grin dressed entirely in flaming red, shoes and all. When he saw me, his eyes narrowed with mischief. His grin deepened. Bro, is this her? Is she the sister-in-law? His first sentence left me frozen. Sister-in-law? Bro? Who's your brother? Before I could ask, that icy, sharp-featured face appeared behind him. Get lost. My boss's voice was cold. Next time you trick me into coming out for business, don't bother coming back to this country. He didn't even glance at his brother as he walked straight inside. I thoughtfully stepped aside to give the two brothers some space. Never imagined the boss would be in a relationship and hadn't introduced his partner to his family yet. Bro, didn't you say you have extreme germophobia? That no one's allowed inside your place? And you two are even dressed like a couple? Stop lying to me. The boss's face darkened further. I was honestly scared they might start a fistfight. I took a few cautious steps back and stood behind the boss, casting a meaningful look at his younger brother. He immediately caught on. Sister-in-law is even giving me signals from behind him. Since his brother blocked him from entering, now he was trying to pull me into this mess? Hearing his brother's nonsense, the boss's irritation finally cracked. He turned to glance at me. I frantically shook my head. Sis-in-law, don't worry, the brother said. You know what? My brother used to watch girl streamers all the time, he even sent them money. Bang. Before he could finish, the boss slammed the door shut. Hard. He was fast. Wait, this proper, uptight man used to send gifts to girl streamers? What a scumbag. I stared at his retreating figure with growing contempt. But then he rubbed his temples and turned back to look at me. I immediately covered my chest like I was swearing an oath. I won't tell anyone at work. I swear. He stared at me for a long moment, looking like he wanted to say something, but finally just sighed and walked into his study. At least now I could relax a little. Wait, was that stare because he was planning to kill me? I glanced toward the study a few times, no sign of movement. Relieved, I reopened the chat with my online boyfriend and typed, "My boss is such a jerk. He's dating someone while still tipping random streamers. Disgusting." From the study came a loud crash. Something had just shattered. Did he overhear that and lose his temper? Because I found out he's a scumbag? Worried, I kept venting to my online boyfriend. Hubby, as soon as I landed, the boss dragged me to see a romance movie. Sat super close to me. I really thought he was going to try something shady. After the movie, I ran out and messaged you right away. But since he's in a relationship, I guess he wouldn't be interested in someone like me anyway. He's always calling my work garbage, and honestly, I am garbage. A few minutes passed before he replied. Maybe he's not actually a jerk, maybe it's all a misunderstanding. It was such a weak defense I nearly rolled my eyes. Hubby, you haven't fallen for my boss, have you? Why do you always take his side? This time he replied faster. Of course not. I'll always love only you. But baby, since you have to see him every day, wouldn't it be better if you didn't hate him so much? He wasn't wrong. But my boss? He's clearly the type who's only into intellectuals. Anyone who doesn't meet his insane standards is trash in his eyes. To get along with a man like him, I'd probably have to grow a whole new brain. Feeling dramatic, I gleefully started selecting a few hanging emoji stickers to send to my online boyfriend. But before I could even pick one, the boss suddenly stepped out of the study. He looked like he'd been completely worn down, probably by his brother. His sharp features appeared more tired, his eyes shadowed with exhaustion, and even his clothes were a little wrinkled. The door pounded loudly from the outside. The boss calmly straightened his sleeves and walked over to me with cold, heavy-lidded eyes. Audrey. His voice was deep and magnetic, dangerously smooth. Help me get the black document folder from the study. The pounding continued. He seemed like he was about to open the door, probably something urgent. I quickly nodded, not even bothering to reply to my online boyfriend. There had been loud crashing noises from the study earlier, but as I entered, the room was perfectly tidy. Only a shattered glass lay in the trash can. I grabbed the black folder and headed out, only to hear a muffled groan from the hallway. Panic spiked in my chest. Don't tell me that knocking was from one of his enemies? Had someone attacked him? I rushed over, only to find my boss standing there calmly, as if nothing had happened. His face was flawless once again, his shirt immaculate. He leisurely lowered his sleeve and took the folder from my hand. Behind him, his brother didn't look quite so graceful. Half of his face was swollen, like he'd taken a solid punch. Sister-in-law, back me up, he whined. The moment my brother opened the door, he punched me. I gave an awkward smile. You did go around spilling your brother's secrets. Of course he hit you. Honestly, I was just glad he didn't include me in that punch. The boss ignored him completely. Instead, he reached out and brushed my hair? I flinched instinctively. Was he about to hit me? There was dust, he said plainly. I only hit people who are annoying, shameless, and try to stick to me like this idiot brother of mine. His tone was back to neutral, face unreadable. Bro, seriously, his brother huffed, half his face still puffed up. You might as well post my ID number while you're at it. He shrank back under the boss's sharp glare. I already called your fiancée, the boss said flatly. She's on her way. Nothing, not even this, seemed to stir any emotion from him. His brother scowled, teeth grinding, but ultimately backed off, dialing his phone while mumbling apologies as he left. Wow. The boss really was unbeatable at shutting people down. Later that evening, we had dinner together, and to my shock, the boss's tastes matched mine exactly. Everything he ordered. I loved. But he barely ate. He just sat there watching me while I stuffed my face. Apparently, as his personal assistant, I was staying over tonight. Just one night. Audrey, help me dry my hair. The boss had just come out of the shower, his white shirt damp and clinging to his skin. His muscles were barely hidden beneath the fabric. He hadn't even buttoned the top few buttons, exposing pale, sculpted collarbones. I gulped. He's usually so particular, why come out dressed like this? Like a peacock in mating season, he handed me the hairdryer. I hesitated. Wasn't this crossing a line? Giving the boss a blow dry? That felt like petting a tiger's tail. Also, way too intimate. Seeing my hesitation, he gave me a serious look. My personal assistants always help me like this. He blinked innocently, then leaned his head toward me. My lifespan just got shorter. You don't need to bend down, boss, I'll come over, I muttered, resigned as I accepted the hairdryer. As expected, he lived a refined life. Even his hair was softer and shinier than mine. I lowered my head, silently working, and accidentally caught a glimpse of his abs under the shirt. 8 of them. 8 clearly defined abs. I snapped my eyes shut instantly. Sin. This is sin. I didn't mean to see that. Audrey. He said my name slowly, every syllable pronounced perfectly. Yes? What is it? It's a little hot. I looked down and realized I'd been holding the dryer too long on one spot. Sorry. I quickly moved it away, horrified. But when I looked up, he didn't look annoyed. In fact, he seemed to like it. Maybe he really did enjoy someone drying his hair. Once done, I backed away stiffly, afraid he'd suddenly remember I'd burned him and start yelling. I placed the dryer down and tiptoed back to my room, like a startled crab. Once alone, I plopped onto the bed. Much more comfortable. Right as I was about to scroll through some videos before bed, I noticed a few messages from my online boyfriend. Did you enjoy dinner? It had been hours. I was just seeing it now. Sorry, my sweet boyfriend. Things were a little busy just now. Dinner was great. Didn't expect the evil boss to have the same taste as me. He ordered all my favorites. He sent a bunch of kissy face emojis. As long as my baby's happy. The next day, I slept all the way until noon. I shot out of bed, panicked. Only to find, the boss was already gone. He didn't even wake me up to work? I was still confused when I spotted a handwritten note on the table. Had to step out. If you're hungry, call this number. Someone will bring food. The handwriting was neat, and beneath the note was a phone number. But I didn't plan on calling. What if he finds out I woke up at noon and scolds me to death? I left the note alone and opened the chat with my online boyfriend. Good news. The boss didn't assign me anything. I just woke up, haha. He replied after a few minutes, glad you slept well, baby. Don't forget to eat breakfast. While we chatted sweetly for a bit, I suddenly received a friend request from a stranger. Work-related? I accepted out of curiosity. But before I could even type, they bombarded me with a long message. Sister-in-law, listen. My brother's heart belongs to someone else. He used to watch girl streamers all the time. Go open the second room on the left. The password is 0504, it's the birthday of the person he likes. May 4th? That's my birthday. I had no right to snoop, but how could I not be curious about the person someone like him, so perfect, so cold, had feelings for? And with the same birthday as me? Heart pounding, I typed in the code. The room didn't look like a bedroom. Or a study. More like a collection room. I stepped in, intrigued. Inside were rows of ceramics, photos and matching pieces. And each real piece looked better than the photos. I recognized them. I'd made these. There were also folded paper crafts. Mine. Printed chat logs, too, between him and someone else. Wait. What? The boss, my boss, had printed these? I picked up one sheet. There were no avatars, just words. Thank you for the donation. No problem. I like watching your streams. Would you like to be with me? I'll take on all your emotions. Yes. These were the exact words, from when my boyfriend confessed to me. My scalp tingled. I flipped the page. On the back was a handwritten name. Little Lemon. That was my livestream username. Something inside me collapsed. Trembling, I opened the chat with my online boyfriend. He had just sent, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" I hadn't even replied yet. I was still figuring out what to say, how to even begin to test him. Then the door creaked open. I turned, still holding that printed page in my hand, and came face to face with my boss. We stared at each other in stunned silence. He stood in the doorway, black shirt sleeves rolled to his forearms, veins slightly bulging. My throat felt dry. "You." He didn't respond immediately. His eyes dropped from the paper in my hand to the tips of my toes. When he looked up again, his Adam's apple bobbed slightly. "Yes." One word. Heavy enough to throw my heart offbeat. "I'm your boyfriend." He took a step closer. The door clicked shut behind him, leaving only the sound of our mingled breaths. "It was me," he said in a low, husky voice. "The one who sent the tips. The one who confessed. It was all me." He paused and added softly, "All of it." My head buzzed. I instinctively backed away until my lower back hit the edge of the display case. A ceramic cup teetered. He caught it in time. Our distance vanished. His body radiated heat. Scared, he murmured into my ear. "Do you hate me?" I shook my head. "Are you a collector freak?" I shook my head again. "Split personality?" I pointed around the room filled with items all connected to me, ceramics, crafts, printed chat logs. "No," he replied without hesitation. "I'm just secretly in love with you." Before I could react, he gently took the paper from my hand and instead, interlaced his fingers with mine. "Will you let me be your real-life boyfriend now?" I didn't even know how I escaped. My head was a mess. In the daytime, I'd been working with my boss. At night, I'd been sweet-talking with my online lover. And now, they were the same man? My hand wouldn't break free, so I slapped him. While he stood stunned, I pulled away and ran. Alone on the street, I couldn't help but think, what a joke fate is. I had spent so long trash-talking my boss in front of my online boyfriend, even got him to join in. Looking back at our messages, everything was a clue. No wonder he'd said, "Maybe dating someone like your boss wouldn't be so bad." He hadn't been talking about someone else. He was just making excuses, for himself. And to top it all off, I'd actually handed the boss his own revised proposal, the one he'd stayed up late to fix for me. But just when you think things can't get worse, they do. Fighting back tears, I blocked the boss. A second later, the hospital called. "Your mother's condition has worsened." I went cold from head to toe. My fingers trembled as I opened the booking app to buy a ticket home. Everything was sold out. Earliest available, tomorrow morning. The helplessness wrapped around me like chains. Maybe I really am useless. Suddenly, the world dimmed, light and wind both blocked. "So cold," said a familiar voice. The boss. He took my hand and sat down with me on the roadside. "This place is dirty," I mumbled hoarsely. "I don't mind." He tucked my hand into his coat pocket. "I heard about your mom. I can get you a ticket." I looked up at him with tear-filled eyes. He added, "But I want to go with you." And just like that, I ended up on a plane with the man I'd supposedly broken up with. But none of it mattered anymore. All I could think about was my mom. She raised me on her own. If anything happened to her, I curled into a corner, holding my head, mine screaming. "Don't be afraid." He sat beside me, laid a blanket over my shoulders. "Whatever happens, I'll be here, baby." Hearing that in real life hit differently. I couldn't hold back. I cried again. He didn't say much, just gripped my hand tightly to let me know he was there. Luckily, the flight was smooth. His car was already waiting at the airport. The moment we got in, the driver sped to the hospital like a machine. Efficiency on a terrifying level. "Your mom needs surgery. The odds are good. But we need your signature." As the doctor handed over the form, my vision blurred. I'd been through this before. I knew the drill. I forced myself to stay focused, even as my hand shook so badly I could barely sign. The moment I finished, my strength left me completely. I collapsed into the boss's arms. He didn't speak, but his presence was steady. He held onto my arm the whole time. Once we were alone in a quiet corridor, I broke down. Sobbing. Trembling. I shoved him hard. It didn't budge him. "This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been so far away." I knew I was being unreasonable, but he didn't say a word. Just hugged me tighter. "It's my fault," he said softly. "You were always playing with me." Calling my work trash, not even letting me cry, and then online you turn around and call me baby every 5 seconds. Yeah. My fault. You're the real idiot. Scolding yourself. I'm an idiot. I cried until I had nothing left. Slumped on the steps, back against the wall. When I finally looked up, he was still there. Still holding me. You must think I'm stupid, I said with a bitter laugh. Some emotional mess of a girl. He froze, then crouched down to face me. I'm sorry, for all the things I said to you before. But you're smart. And gentle. And thoughtful. Back then? I thought you were sent by my rival to sabotage me, so I gave you a hard time. Sometimes, not everyone's words are worth listening to. He gently patted my head. Even mine. I looked into his eyes. So honest. Everything around us blurred, except him. Then, would you still want to date someone like me? He pulled me into a tight embrace. His chest was broad. Solid. Safe. Miss Audrey? Your mother's surgery was a success. I awkwardly pulled away and thanked the doctor. He gave me a knowing smile. Would you like to see your mother? I hesitated. We weren't at the meet the parents stage yet. But the boss gripped my hand with firm certainty and nodded. Mom, you scared me to death. She was waiting with a soft smile. Seeing her again felt like the world had returned to color. She looked curiously at the tall man beside me. My boyfriend, I said, a little embarrassed. But he? He wasn't embarrassed at all. He marched right over and started chatting with her. My mom asked all kinds of questions. He answered every one, even the increasingly inappropriate ones. Have you two done it? Not yet, he replied seriously. But I have plans. I rushed between them. Mom, don't talk about that in public. She just laughed and patted my hand. Audrey's always been adorably dumb. I used to worry about her future. But seeing you, I can rest easy. Somehow, he had completely charmed her. On our way back to the company, I teased him. He just smiled and said, last chance. Submit trash again, and off to HR you go. To be fair, I was being dramatic, and he just played along. When did I say I loved you? I huffed. Fine, he replied, grabbing my hand and pulling me into a kiss. Strawberry flavored. When did he eat candy? Let's plan everything now. I went back to live streaming. After all, crafting was still my passion. On my second day back online, some rich guy dropped tens of thousands in gifts. I'm not doing this for money, I said quickly. No need to donate so much. Then he sent more. I frowned. Is streaming this profitable now? Suddenly, a familiar username entered the chat. Boss's main account. He banned the rich guy on the spot. Keep spending and I'll buy your whole company. That's a bit extreme, I muttered. Just as I was about to message him to stop, the rich guy DM'd me on a backup account. Sister-in-law, I'm just trying to show respect. Please tell your man to spare my little business. It's not easy out here. I laughed quietly and forwarded the message to Evan. Your little brother's begging you for mercy. His reply came instantly, just like old times. Terrible attitude, but accurate title. I guess love was never about grand gestures or dramatic confessions. It was about him, showing up, staying close, and calling me baby when I needed it most. And somehow, without even realizing it, I fell in love too.